Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. Today is 5 May 30th. It's around 9:20 in the evening, and I'm recording you from my studio in my home office, overlooking a lovely view, which is usually at nighttime, where I'm staring at lots of lovely buildings and scenery with lights. But some sort of tornado came through, and I think I'm the only high rise that has power, which is kind of unsettling. So we'll see how long this lasts. I am the founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. My phone is 240-888-7778. And again, if you find yourself indicted, you're facing maybe an indictment, a target letter, you think you're facing prison, don't give up. Even if you're facing prison, it's only temporary. I have met individuals that have had double life sentences, and when they call me, they're on their way home. And so this is only temporary. The company is White Collar Sentencing Mitigation Solutions. And so tonight, there's been a lot of talk about the, let's find it here for us, False Claim Act, which is a Donald Trump Pam Bondi special, which which could put lots of businesses in legal jeopardy, and it will put the number one threat. It's what it's done is that it's had, and I have a couple other YouTubes I've done to this effect, but it's changed a lot of what was previously considered criminal white collar crimes, and it's made them civil, so that instead of paying the amount of money due and going to prison, they just want the money and they say goodbye. But that doesn't happen all the time. In addition, here we go. So the False Claim Act, this is the front page of the website, recent articles. This was done today or today. False Claims Act, and we don't want it to put you in legal jeopardy. So let me go ahead and open this up, and we'll come over here. So the Department of Justice is targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this particular um, picture that I copied from the internet had to do it's from senior living. Is that there are different parts of the country where they have people from all over the world caring for our parents, and that the care is given. I mean, at least from my parents' perspective, was good, but they weren't from this country, and there's a lot of people from they came here before, when they were infants. And so this is a big problem. And to have everyone rounded up, I don't want to get involved in the middle of this particular debate, other than to tell you that my own personal opinion is that this is just all wrong. That being said, what's going to happen is that senior living is that they're going into senior living facilities, which is from independent to assisted to nursing to Alzheimer's and to adult daycare. So there's no difference between having your loved one or your parent in that type of facility, or if you're someone who's younger from another, and this is like our parents, or if you're from another country and you're going in because they told you have to come in on the first of the month every month to register with the court, and the Department of Homeland Security is there and they lock you up and they send you to somewhere in Africa, and you're from, and you happen to be from Central America. It's just, in my personal opinion, it's horrible, but that's just my opinion. And so the justice is being set to begin using this False Claim Act to enforce. They're using what they're going to do is that they're going to use the False Claims Act to enforce and root out all of the wrongdoers in private companies. And how they're going to do that is to say, for example, if you're a hospital and you're getting paid federal money, but you have people on staff that work there, well, we're going to come in and raid you, and then we want the money back. Or if you're a doctor's office, the same thing. And so, or if you're a nursing home, the same thing. And so they can't afford to do that. And already, as they begin to disrupt or remove Medicaid, you're going to already have, you know, smaller hospitals or in rural America will begin closing already. But I don't want to deviate. And so the False Claims Act, there are 10 focus points. The number one focus point is healthcare. So if you're a healthcare or a healthcare system COO or CEO, it doesn't matter. They will go after either one of you. And you don't assume that it's going to be a civil penalty and financial, because it could be criminal and civil. You don't know. or you could be a contractor or a procurement officer. Understanding that the Department of Justice has two memos, one from May 12 and one from May 19. Don't deviate from what they have on those memos. You don't want to be on that target list. So how can you do that? You need to make sure that your staff, and this is the staff that are medical staff, support staff, administrative staff, you routinely conduct internal investigations that have been under the guidance of your counsel, of your corporate attorneys. And I'm sure, the largest, but it's because you're a big company. And look at United Healthcare. I mean, it brings up memories. I started practice in 1985. I don't want to deviate too much, but in 1985, there were HMOs and they were health maintenance organizations, and they ran very similar to Advantage Medicare. Advantage Medicare is not Medicare. People don't know that. It is a private type of Medicare, but it's not Medicare. So you do not get all of the Medicare benefits with Advantage Medicare. You have gatekeepers to go through. And years ago, in mid 1980s, it wasn't Advantage Medicare, but what they did, it was with regular insurance, and it was called capitating the large groups of providers. It would be large internal medicine groups, large orthopedic groups, just large medical groups. And what they would tell you is that if, let's say, you were an internal medicine or family practice group, and in that geographic area, there were 25,000 families, they would pay you $1 a family, whatever the amount was per month, whether they showed up or didn't show up. And as that went forward, but they would start denying procedures. I mean, they would be denying heart procedures. They would deny HMO. I mean, they would deny MRIs. It was a real nightmare until it made the major news and the news outlets and the Philadelphia Inquirer. It was a long time ago, but I mean, I remember, one encounter where I was on the phone with, it was an HMO. It was the family doctor. She was in her convertible on the Long Island Expressway. And I said, I need an MRI. And she said, why? And I told her, she said, okay. But meanwhile, they had people making $10 an hour that were telling you what to do. But I deviated. That is not this. Back to this. So the memorandums are here. 512 memorandum to all criminal division. This comes from the criminal division personnel, focusing on fairness, efficiency in the fight against white collar crime. Well, I don't know how much that is so, but we're going to click on this. And you can go to my website, front page, and you can go down here, and here is the actual memorandum. And if you go down it, areas of focus, and we're going to go down a bit if I don't make myself a little nuts. Okay. So the very first thing they're going to talk about, the prioritization, healthcare fraud, and procurement. But the first one is healthcare fraud, which is why I brought this up. And the second one is also civil rights initiatives, which they're lumping this DEI into this FCA Act, which allows them to get this included should they want to come in and begin requesting monies back or send you to prison. And so the criminal division, and I just summarized the 10 items, but healthcare and procurement. And what they're doing is that they're not really going after white collar crime like they used to. And you can see that with the amount of pardons that President Trump has been pardoning. He's been pardoning a lot of white collar crime, people who who have already been convicted or in prison want to get out. I mean, bribery and money laundering in the U.S. is okay, but if it's outside, it's not okay. So continuing, civil is financial penalty. Criminal is there's a charge. It involves prison time. But if you find yourself with an indictment of some sort, you want to take these seriously, and you need legal representation. I may have explained this. I'm not a lawyer. I put my own slant on it. But the understanding is that if you're staring at something like this, you need legal representation. What was once, as I said, considered criminal, in some cases now is considered civil. You don't want to take chances. Getting legal representation is imperative because you want to avoid taking something that was just a financial penalty, even though it can be in the millions of dollars, and turning it into a criminal sentence. And so here are several examples. This is a civil where they want to collect money, and their target, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it was in a healthcare system. This is criminal and financial example. The medical equipment business owner had to go to prison, but he also had to pay over $6 million in restitution. Then this is the actual, if you click on this, it'll open it up. And this is just civil, which is with the Collin County physician, and he had to pay $3 million to resolve a False Claim Act. Now, if this was before Donald Trump was elected, that false claim would be prison time, and the 3 million would be restitution. And so, you don't want to play with this because I'm not an attorney, but it's a whole lot easier to deal with a civil issue than take this to the extreme. The Justice Department. This is the photograph that I had at the top of the of this particular post or blog or article, and it takes you directly to where this was printed, where I took it from, the article itself. And you can go, Justice Department, they're going to begin using these false claim acts to root out. They're going to figure a way to get in there, use this memorandum, and then root out diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even though these people are who are the doctors who are there, and no matter on the color of the skin, they're male or female, whether they're gay or straight, it doesn't matter. They know the job, but they're going to make life miserable for the person and for the company. And so I don't have the answer how to deal with that, but that's between the CEO, COO, and their counsel. But I don't want you to be surprised because the goal is to have this training and kind of go through this process with your staff before you get the surprise visit. So how do I say this here? I don't remember. Let me see. I think I say this. No, I want you to. Here I go. I said routinely conduct the internal investigations with guidance from counsel, with training, so that you're not surprised if the government or congressional investigations show up, because you don't know what's going to happen. 4 years from now, we may or may not still have the same gentleman sitting in the White House. But if we don't, then this will change drastically. If we do, then I don't have an opinion. I hope you found this helpful. Most of these links, if these links right here, this one I'll bring up right now. I didn't show it to you before. This is, oh no, let's see here. Maybe I linked the same. Fair focus. Uh-oh. I clicked okay, I needed to fix that. So I didn't put the separate, I put the same one on both of them. My mistake. So I will fix that. But I hope you found this helpful. The moral of the story is that if you're a physician, take it to heart that United Healthcare is going through they're having heart palpitations there currently. Medicare Advantage programs, they're having a hard time now because they've been able to do what they do and cut costs, but now it's catching up to them because doctors, if you live, if you live in the north and you have relatives who live in the north and they're snowbirds and they're elderly, and they go to Florida for the winter and they have Medicare Advantage, they'll tell you that nobody takes their insurance. And this is when they first go down, they'll tell you it's a surprise, but it shouldn't be. And that's because they were sold something that they didn't know that they were buying. I hope you found this helpful. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call. I'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. My consultation is at no charge. It's on me. And don't be scared to death. Your life is not over. I appreciate you taking the time to call, and I hope you all have a safe day.